FTR versus the Young Bucks 2. The roles are switched is for the ROH Tag Team Championships and the AAA Tag Team Championships. And feels like the crowd's on fire. Everyone expected a classic. We got one. I like this more than their other match. I think I'm about a quarter star higher on it than that one. And I really liked it. Like, I thought it was like really like it was interesting seeing FTR like just get cheered like this, and I was like, I'll never cheer for FTR like that, but it's nice like to see that or whatever. Like, this is like one of the best matches they've had, and this is fresh off the heels of their match with the Briscoes, which I think is even better. I gave it the same rating, but I think the Briscoes match was better than this one was. But go out of your way to see that if you guys haven't seen it, and then watch this one. It was like a great week for FTR. FTR is on fire right now. They've took the stuff with like the Dax Harwood singles matches, the stuff they did with Moxley and Punk, the Briscoes match. They're like in a zone that they've never been in any point in this company, and it seems like they're
anywhere. Forget this company anywhere, at any point in the time's career. Like when they were NXT, they weren't having matches at this level, this frequency.
They were coasting off the NXT reputation for a long time, and they were coming in at some of these matches, especially when they first got to AEW, where it was like, I don't know, like, and they went through a long period of like, find themselves off the card and, just challengers and stuff like that. And now it seems like it's their time right now. And they get the win over the Young Bucks here. Just tons of great sequences, firing up, crowds going absolutely crazy for them. Take nothing away from them. They're hitting a new peak for themselves, and of course the Bucks, like, come on, man, like the Bucks got 20 of these, man. Like, I'm done talking about the Bucks, man. The Bucks are too great, man.
So like this match basically starts by them basically doing anything you do, I do better, and they basically FTR's baby faces or whatever else, and the Young Bucks are heels, and the Young Bucks are basically doing like FTR's like greatest hits of cheating, and then like FTR is responding by like getting momentum back on their side by like doing the same heel cheating tactic or whatever, but their babyface so is working. And then eventually like they both get in all four get in the ring. They hockey fight out. They get the heat on Wheeler, which sets up the hot tag. So in comes Dax. Dax starts opening up with chops and forearms, all that kind of stuff. And then you start getting big moves and saves and everything. And then at the end, ultimately, you end up getting Matt Jackson in there. No, maybe Matt in like 20 years, but Matt in the ring, and like Nick's been taken out, so like they go to give Matt the BTE trigger, and he sees it coming. He's like, "Fuck you guys!" He spits, like he has a bloody mouth, so he spits in Dax's face, and so they were like, all right. And it was very much, it reminded me so much of FTR's like last great match in WWE, like that match on NXT, like during the summer or Survivor Series 2019 thing against Red Dragon, actually, where they're just like, you're one of the greats, we're some of the greats too. Like, you may beat us, but we're gonna go down fucking defiantly. So like Matt spits in one of their faces, or spits in Dax's face. They get the BTE trigger and then lift him up and give him the big rig and get him out of there. It was a great match. One of the best matches of the year. I gave it 4 3/4. I thought this match is just on a whole nother league than that first match they had. Like, that first match disappointed the hell out of me. Like, I still thought it was a great match, but it's like, to see the people's reaction to it or whatever else, it felt like people are capping because like they wanted this match, and like they weren't going to let it not be, or not consider it as some all-time great match, as opposed to letting it happen when they eventually do it. This is one of their all-time great. This is like, I'm assuming they're going to have more of these. Like, this will be, when we get through with FTR and Young Bucks over the next 3, 4, 5 years, this will be one of their classics. The other one was just a great match. And like, given how badly that storyline went at the end leading into that match, and then what the match just actually ended up being, just as this turned out to be more of a love letter to tag team wrestling, which is like, well, then why did we go through 6 months of waiting for this fucking match instead of anything actually super heated? Like, nah, this is the match this should have been their first match. This second match should have been their first match. And so whatever, like I thought this match was great. Like I said, again, one of the best matches of the year. Like, if you have not seen it, go out your way to watch it. Like, I think this is better than any of the Revival in American Alpha stuff. I think this match would be like, I think outside of like the DIY stuff, these are the best FTR matches. Or this was the best FTR match I've ever seen. Like, you told me you said that you think the Briscoes match is better.
I think the Briscoes match is the best
I'll need to go see that.
Seen.
I have it on my hard drive. I'll have to pull it up and watch it. So I'm going to watch it sometime this week. But yeah, like, I really enjoyed this match. And like, FTR, if you had looked from the beginning of this year, like, there was one match when it was them versus, I want to say it was Brock Anderson and Lee Johnson, where they were wrestling their ass off. We both know that, like, yo, they really working now, and like, they have continued that. Like, they have changed their in-ring philosophy from what they thought was going to be good enough to like appeal at the elite level. And you say that all they did was turn babyface. Like, when they were still healed, they had changed this. So like, they have made an adjustment and realized that what they were doing was not good enough. Like, so.
And also, I would think people, I would advise people to not get worked by them as far as like, because like, I think there was something coming into this match with the Bucks where people thought the Bucks were like gonna bury them. Like, there was a reason like it took so long for this second match to happen. I'm like, that's fucking carny wrestling speak. Like, people think this is like for real, like, or whatever. So I guess if that helps them enjoy the match better, fine, whatever. But like, it's not real. Like, when you see like like when you see or you used to, at least now, when they were heels, like, you see Dax on Twitter like complaining about like the matchmaking and shit. Like, that's a gimmick. Like, bro, like, after the Briscoes match, they were in the press conference with Tony Khan. They're both like hugging Tony Khan. Like, bro, like, they love what the fuck they're doing. Like, don't let this like work you to that degree. Like, look, feel free to get worked, but be aware of what's actually happening. Like, and like, I just laugh at the notion that the Bucks will have a problem losing to them, or anyone for that matter.
When all they did was spend like the first half of like the first like how many months of the company's from existence putting people over left and right.
I don't know where it comes from. So like, if y'all want to get work to that degree, fine. But over here in reality, like, we'll keep getting these. Like, we don't have to worry about someone not wanting to lose to somebody and them doing a hour match with no falls or something. Like, people were saying this is like this is a Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels like style thing, possibly with FTR. I believe I actually got a question from Floyd about that. I'm going to pull it up right now. So he said, question for the show is FTR versus the Young Bucks and new Shawn versus Bret. And what happens if you love them both and think they're both generational tag teams? I would disagree with it being like a Shawn versus Bret thing, because in one, like, stylistically in the ring, right? Maybe you could say that, right? But I feel like like, I don't feel like Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels was good at the things Bret Hart was good at, right? And, vice versa. Like, you're not going to see Bret Hart coming off the top rope or anything. I feel like the Bucks can...
taking crazy bumps left and right.
Like, the Bucks can do anything equally as well as faces, as heel. We've seen great early returns on FTR being baby faces, but they're not doing fucking Lucha Libre. Like, sorry. Right. Like, it's not happening. But... I think if you love them both and think they're both generational teams, that's awesome. Like, FTR is one of the best tag teams I've ever seen. Like, the Young Bucks, I think, is the greatest tag team I've ever seen. Like, I think that people will, if it depends, because like, I think a lot of that, what I was just talking about, people allowing themselves to get worked into thinking there's like legit animosity there when there's clearly not with these guys. But
You said legit. You think legit animosity is what you said?
Yeah, like
Okay.
I think people were working themselves into thinking there's legit animosity with these guys, but I think that's these guys all being like great workers and figuring out like they can make a lot of money doing this. So like if anything, this could be better than like Bret versus Shawn and potentially like more lucrative. Because like Bret and Shawn wrestled themselves or they worked themselves out of making money. I feel like
yeah. I don't know. That seems like such a weird question to me. Like if you meant like their psychology or an approach to wrestling, then maybe. But if you like when I think of the Shawn Bret thing, I'm thinking like the fact that they fucking hated each other and they worked themselves into hate each other, right? And I was like, I don't think the young like I've never entertained for a second that like the Young Bucks and FTR like don't like each other. I've never entertained that.
Yeah.
So like, I've never even thought like that was even something that anyone actually thought like for real. So like maybe that's my perspective.
I think a lot of that is coming from like obviously the loud corners of cornetism and you know getting fed shit, and then like basically those fires getting amplified into like regular discourse. So that like that's how that shit happens. So, but I think with Shawn and Bret, it was a lot of old versus new stuff. Like, when you look at it, I think the Bucks they're even possibly more old school than FTR and the philosophy they approach wrestling. Like, no one's more of an old school worker than Nick Jackson. Like, come on, man. Like, this guy's like
Nick Jackson.
Yes, bro. Like, just the way they approach wrestling. Like, bro, like. Be a mark for yourself, not a company. Like Nick Jackson and Kevin Nash are the same fucking person.
Right, but then it's like then the bell rings and like not at all. So that's what it threw me off. Like you're talking about the ethos and
like the Bucks are about $1. Like
I think that
what the fuck is 50 cent?
I think that people think like FTR are actually like you mentioned, like they're actually like they believe that like the cornet like they do the real wrestling old school guys, and like because they used to masturbate to like the brain busters, like that's like that is actually like what they believe in. Like no, otherwise like why would they respect these dudes that they wrestle all the goddamn time? Why would they come to AEW and see what that tag team division is full of with a fucking flying dinosaur, right? That they want to wrestle those guys. Right, like in that's case, and like when they want to wall themselves off and only want to wrestle like Moxley and Danielson and like Red Dragon, then no, they wrestle all them dudes. I think people have bought the fact that they're like annoying on Twitter, that they actually believe that bullshit. And like, quite frankly, for me, the thing that's annoying is like the part where it's like, I know you're full of shit. Can you please knock it off?
Yeah, and it's like, bro, y'all are.
You're not working any, or at least I feel like you're not working anybody. In fact, you're just annoying me. Like, God, like, you're so bad at this.
I will say they probably are working some people. They're not working me with that. I'm like, yo, these guys are high pace, high spot wrestlers in their own right. Like, come on, man. Like, so, and like I said, if you love them both and think they're both generational, awesome. I
mean, they are. Just by definition, they're both generational talents as tag teams.
So. That'll wrap up the Dynamite review, but we have